Hello everyone. As you can see, English grammar plays an important role for every student learning English. Many people think that if you just need to learn to communicate in English, learning about English grammar is a waste of time. But from my point of view, that is not true. To be able to arrange words and say them into sentences, grammar plays a pivotal role. So today, I want to introduce to you a very interesting grammar topic. Can you guess what it is? It's adverbial phrase and specifically adverbial phrase in speech of Barack Obama. First, we get into speeches of President Barack Obama. Barack Obama, the first African American president, was the 44th president of the United States. When he was in the office, he had a lot of public speeches about every field of the country. For his speech styles, we come into the definition of speech first. According to Cambridge Dictionary, speech is the way a person talks and it is the communication or expression of thoughts in spoken words. Barack Obama has his own way of talking. He understands the power of language. He chooses his words carefully to disseminate his worldview. For instance, when discussing the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, instead of using a favorite phrase of the former administration, war and terror, Obama told CNN, words matter in this situation because one of the ways we're going to win this struggle is through the battle of hearts and minds. Hearts and minds, we all see it is a manner of speaking that is very closely, right? In addition, he relies on simple language to explain complex ideas and often begins sentences with the words listen or look. For example, look, I would love not to have to spend money right now, he said at Monday night's primetime news conference. And another sentence that made me very impressive the moment that he said at a town hall meeting earlier on Monday in Indiana, look, we got to get the bill passed, but we also have to make sure the money we're spent. So we also come into three techniques make his speeches memorable. Firstly, transcendence. By using concrete and tangible language, Obama can transport us to another place and actually paint a portrait that we can see in our minds. Secondly, repetition. Repeating a word or phrase at the beginning of successive sentences. And the last one, gesture and voice. It is very important one. But I don't need to mention this anymore because you guys all know it. We all see it in some video on other platform or YouTube. And the next part I will discuss about adverbial phrase theory. So what are adverb and adverbial phrase? According to Delhanty and Garvey, the English language from sound to sense, an adverb is defined as a word used to modify a verb, adjective, preposition, or another adverb. Therefore, an adverb never modifies a noun. Also, according to Gilbert et al., Longman Grammar of Spoken and Written English, adverbial phrase is an element of a clause in form of phrase with major functions to add circumstantial information about the proposition, to express writer's stance towards the clause, or to link the clause to some other unit. That's all about the definition of adverbial phrase and adverb. So we will look into structure of adverbial phrase. Adverbial phrase is created by pre-modifier, head, and post-modifier. For the first one, pre-modifiers are expressed by the main intensifiers and qualitative adverbs as in adjectival phrases. For example, very, absolutely, smoothly. Some adverbs of space and time, around, close, far, nearly. Nominal phrase primarily when the adverbial headword is either adverb of time or place. For example, an hour later, the day before, 2 months afterwards. An intensifier can be pre-modified by an adverb. And for the second one is headwords. Headwords in adverbial phrases are basically adverbs. Besides, they can be represented by other structures that function as adverbs known as adverbials, such as adjectives, nouns, particles, etc. And the last one, post modifiers. It is expressed by the adverbs in not and indeed only. Prepositional phrases functioning as opposition to the headword. Infinitives and or infinitival clauses, finite clause with the comparative form of the adverb. For example, harder than we expected, more clearly than usual. And for the next part, the function of adverbial phrase. There are 6 functions of adverbial phrase, so we will discuss one of them. And the first function is adjunct. So an adjunct is a word, phrase, or clause, usually an adverbial that is integrated within the structure of a sentence or clause. However, it can be omitted without making the sentence ungrammatically. There are 4 types of adjuncts: comparative, pre-modifying however, pre-modifying how, and pre-modifying so. For the first one, comparative, I will give you an example. I will not go back to the days when health insurance companies had unchecked power to cancel your policy, deny your coverage, or change women differently than men. So in this sentence, differently than men is comparative because it has the than words in this sentence. So quite simple, right? The second one is pre-modifying however. It is to form the opening of a dependent adverbial clause. For example, and such a vision, however well intended, was never realistic. In this sentence, however well is pre-modifying however. I think it's very easy to see that. The third one is pre-modifying how. It is a form of intensifiers in questions or exclamations. For example, how badly a construction project is needed and how much good it will do for the economy. It is the speech in address to Congress on the American Jobs Act. So in this sentence, how badly here is pre-modifying how. And for the last one, pre-modifying so. It is followed by subject operator inversion and causality clause. Let me give an example. With a thoughtful introspection and self-examination that we so rarely see in public life. So rarely here is pre-modifying so. It is also quite easy to see that because it has so words in this sentence. The next function is disjunct. According to R. Kirk, a student's grammar of the English language, disjuncts were described as having a superior role as compared with the sentence elements, syntactically more detached and in some respect superordinate in that it seems to have a scope that extends over the sentence as a whole. There are 2 main classes of disjunct, style disjuncts and disjuncts. For the style disjunct, it conveys the speaker's comment on the form of what he is saying, defining in some way under what conditions he is speaking, normally appear initial. Some common adverbs include frankly, bluntly, briefly, candidly, confidentially, generally, honestly, personally, seriously. Let me give you an example so you can understand more clearly. Put simply, our healthcare problem is our deficit problem. Nothing else even comes close. So in this sentence, put simply is style disjunct. And the next is disjunct. It conveys the speaker's comment on the content of what he is saying. For example, we may not agree on a portion, but surely we can agree on reducing the number of unwanted pregnancies in this country. So, in this sentence, but surely is disjunct. Or the next function is conjunct. Also, according to Arkwright, a student's grammar of the English language, conjuncts connect two parts of a sentence, two sentences, or even larger units by expressing a semantic relation between them. For example, he knew that the path of grace involves an open mind, but more importantly, an open heart. So in this sentence, but more importantly here is conjunct because it also connects two sentences and two parts of a sentence. And the next is adjective phrase modifier. An adjective phrase modifier is a word, phrase, or clause that modifies or describes an adjective or adjective phrase. Besides, adjective phrase often function as adjective phrase modifiers. More and more in English. And for example, now the reason some of these things have not happened, even though the majority of people approve of them, is really simple. So in this sentence, really simple is adverbial phrase with the function as adjective phrase modifiers. The next function is adverb phrase modifier. It is a word or phrase that modifies or describes an adverb or adverb phrase. For example, it even, determines whether a really highly qualified Supreme Court nominee receives the courtesy of a hearing and a vote in the United States Senate. So, in this sentence, really highly is the adverbial phrase play a role as adverb phrase modifier. And for the last one, verb phrase modifier, it is defined as a word, phrase, and clause that describe a verb phrase. For example, I will publicly support it. So publicly support here is verb phrase modifier. And this is all about the theory of adverbial phrase. We learn about the definition, the structure, and the function of adverbial phrase. So the next part, I will discuss about adverbial phrase application on speeches of Obama. So, by synthesizing from 30 speeches items, the result would be presented in the percentage. According to the data, the number of adverbial phrases that Obama used with the function as verb phrase modifiers is the largest, with 54.6%. In second place is the adjective phrase modifier, which makes up 80.2%. Next is adjunct with 9.3%. And the last three places belong to disjunct, adverb phrase modifier, and conjunct with 7.7%, 7%, and 3.2% respectively. So, as you can see, adverbial phrases may appear in different positions throughout the text and can modify various types of other phrases and even clauses. When it comes to this particular excerpt that we choose for our analysis, the most frequent function of adverbial phrases were verb phrase modifiers. You most likely find adverb phrases when they modify verbs. Different types of adverbs can modify verbs to give more detail about why, how, where, when, how often, and to what extent an action is performed. Because it contributes a large proportion like this, Without it, of course, the sense of activity, movement, and excitement will be weakened and in any speeches. So the speaker cannot well engage with the audience, no ideas can be transferred. And adverbial phrases can also modify adjectives. While adjectives describe nouns and pronouns, adverbial phrases can enhance or clarify the adjectives to make them even more clear and exact. In these cases, the adverbs are functioning as intensifiers. They strengthening the meaning of these adjectives and to paint a vivid picture for the reader. In addition, an adverbial phrase, an adverbial adjunct is a sentence element that often establishes the circumstances in which the action or state expressed by the verb takes place. Disjunct represents a type of adverbial adjunct expressing information that is not considered essential to the sentence it appears in, but which is considered to be the speaker's or writer's attitude towards a descriptive statement of the propositional content of the sentence, expressing, for example, the speaker's degree of truthfulness or his manner of speaking. Conjuncts have a cohesive function, connecting different sections of a text. We generally use them at or near the beginning of a sentence so that they provide a link to the previous sentence or paragraph. They also help the text to flow by giving continuity to earlier information for the readers or listeners. And when an adverb modifies another adverb, an adverb can answer questions regarding to the extent to which that adverb modifies the other adverb. So, with the contribution of that six functions of adverbial phrase, Obama skillfully combined in his speech to transfer his idea to audience clearly and convincingly. So, this part also closed my presentation about adverbial phrase in speech of Obama, about the theory of adverbial phrase. Hope you guys can get more knowledge and understand more about this lesson and also about this presentation. And thanks for your listening and your attention. Bye.